What's up, guys? Yuri here with Jackie and Amy today. Steph is traveling, so in her memory, we have the black box. So we have brought it back. Today we're going to be talking about a topic that comes up not so much, maybe a little bit in the HBA program or even with our Luminaries clients, but mostly with people who are thinking or considering about doing this. And that's this whole notion of what we want to talk about is psychology versus the platform. Which one are you focused on? And I want to talk about this because this has actually come up a couple times recently for us, so we wanted to just discuss this. But also for all of you watching in the group, it's important to remember this as well, because basically what we're trying to get at is we are helping you guys build a business model that is essentially evergreen for the rest of human existence, assuming humans stay as they are. So the way we make decisions, the way humans behave, what we're helping you guys deploy is a marketing pipeline that really taps into that. And so what we're trying to get at here is that if you master human behavior and you really understand psychology and why we do what we do, it doesn't matter if we're doing this on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or YouTube or newspapers or radio ads or what the next social network is going to be 10 years down the road. So that's what I want to discuss in this episode of Between the Ears. So let's jump into this. Jack, you want to start off with some of the stuff that's come up for you and how we can address that?
Yeah, actually, I just had a call with a practitioner was a registered dietitian who was getting referrals through a practitioner, and those were dying down, and they wanted the freedom to travel. And I said, fantastic. So what skill sets do you have to help you get in front of your perfect clients and to now, actually enroll them into your program if you're not just getting handed this type of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And she's like, wow, I've never really thought about that, right? I've just been given my RD certificate and I just show up and do my thing, which is great. But if you're an entrepreneur or you're going to embark on being an entrepreneur, you have to know the psychology, because it's never about price. It's never about all the credentials that you have or all the New York Times bestsellers that you wrote. It's about how can you help them and how are you going to address their concerns. So no matter if your program is $2,000 or $30,000, as long as you're addressing the problem and delivering something 3 to 10 times in value, it's a no-brainer for them. So whether it's Facebook, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's any other social media platform, you have to have the tools in your brain box to be able to address that and to pull those concerns out of your prospective clients.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love how you said you don't have to have a New York Times best-selling book, because you don't. And what I'm most excited about is that for the most part, all of our clients are not celebrities. They're people, because we've had people like, who are some of your clients? I'm like, I could tell you, but you would have no idea who they are, which is awesome, because I'm excited about helping people go from zero to hero in their respective spaces without all that other nonsense that everyone thinks they have to do because that's all they see. So yeah, because that's the key is, like, as you said, once you understand the psychology of what makes people tick, then that's all people care about anyways. No one cares about you. Like, they care about themselves. And if you can talk to them in their own language, you won. That's it. So yeah, Amy, what do you got?
I've had a lot of interesting calls lately, and one of the things, Jackie, you mentioned credentials, and it was really interesting because I had a call recently, and many of you that are brand new have brought this up. Well, I don't have experience, or I don't have testimonials, or I don't have a million letters after my name. And one of the RAC calls I was on with a prospective client was asking me that question over and over again. We had several follow-ups, and that kept coming up. Now, what was really interesting was she never asked me for our credentials. She knew we could help her because we take the time to talk with all of you. We are interested. We want to know where you're hurting. We want to know if we can help you. And that's exactly what you're going to do for your clients. So when these fears are coming up, it goes back to what we've talked about a couple of weeks ago. That caveman brain is trying to keep you safe by going, oh, well, what if Facebook gets shut down? What if I don't have my credentials? Push all that aside, because that person on the other end of the computer who's searching for you needs you. And there will always be those people. And if, Facebook gets shut down, we'll deal with it. That's what the over, around, under, and through being willing to do what it takes is. So all of these things, it just comes back to, how are you being helped? Do you have a coach? You have a plethora of coaches in the HBA. If you're not working with us, work with a coach, because that is what's going to help you in those moments of freak out, to bring you back to earth, help you to refocus and move on, so you can help the people that you are here to help, right? That's your legacy. Facebook isn't your legacy. It's who you're going to help.
And any good program should be platform agnostic, unless you're obviously going into the trenches of like how to master Facebook or how to master YouTube. Those are obviously specific. But if the goal here is to just really get more clients coming in and really build a pipeline for your business, it should be agnostic of any given platform. Now, you guys know we obviously focus on Facebook because it's probably the simplest platform to understand and get really good at. But like full disclosure, we run ads on YouTube as well. But we didn't start running ads on YouTube. We just started on Facebook, and we really got good at that. And then because of some issues, we had accounts shut down. We're like, yeah, maybe we should set up a redundancy just in case. So that was kind of an initial kick in the butt to be like, hey, check out YouTube. But the thing is, nothing changed after the YouTube video. Like, the pipeline is the same, and the nature of the YouTube videos are essentially the same. It's you're connecting with your perfect client or your perfect audience where they're at. You're able to have a conversation with them where they can say to themselves, wow, this person knows exactly what I'm going through. And when that happens, it's like the gates just open to possibilities. But you have to understand this. And that's why like a big portion of what we do in module 1, actually all the modules pretty much. So from the perfect client, the dream come true system, to the whole webinar module, to the stuff on Facebook ads, everything starts with what are the fears, frustrations, and desires of your client? Because if all you did was understand that and build all of your marketing around that, you'll be so much better off than what almost everyone else is teaching. And I'll just share a really quick story with you. One of our mastermind clients she has somebody running her Facebook ads for her. So just someone kind of just like deploying them, if you will. And she was running into a bit of resistance with her because our approach is long ass copy, right? Like long story-based ad copy. And then this Facebook expert was like, no, that stuff doesn't work. That stuff doesn't work. You have to use like 1 to 2 sentences. And I'm like, first of all, just ignore what she's saying, because obviously she doesn't know what she's talking about. And it might work for some things like a lead magnet or something like really quick and impulsive. But for a webinar, it requires a little bit more build-up. And we've just found that story, whether it's in a Facebook ad or in a video or in any marketing platform, is always going to connect with people better. And if the story is about the person, not about you, it's going to be a lot more powerful. So that's the message, guys. It's whether Facebook goes away. Well, Jackie, you had this conversation the other day, right? It's like, what if Facebook disappears, right?
Yeah.
What do you say to someone like that?
Well, guess what? Earlier this year, we all thought, at least the media, we didn't think this was, Zuckerberg was going down and it was all going to disappear, right? And so, we don't listen to that because it's not going to. It's like, okay, is Google going away? But let's be honest. Like, what if one day there was a big, atomic catastrophe in the internet space? Like, what would you do? Like, it's like, okay, this is where, are you a do whatever it takes person and you're going to figure it out? Or are you going to sit there, whine and curl up in a ball and cry about it, right? So what I basically told the other person, they're like, well, what if this goes away? Well, guess what? That we're going to figure it out together, the next strategy. Like Yuri just mentioned, we're not hiding the fact that we're doing YouTube. We're going to crack the code on YouTube, which we kind of have. We're going to crack the code probably on LinkedIn and Instagram. And we're going to have those other opportunities to share with you. But right now, the best way to put in $1 and to get a return on $2, $3 to $5 in return is a simple platform called Facebook ads. Mm-hmm. Like, that's it. So that's what I told her. I'm like, if you want to figure out that next, like, you put $1 in the machine and you get 2, 3 to 5 out of it on your own, good luck. We'll be here when you're ready for us to serve and help you and support you, right?
Yeah.
So
it's
she was like,
wow. For your business, if you figure this out.
Yeah.
And so let me use the example of like sports. So as a soccer player, if I was growing up and developing my skills and like playing and getting better, and then I played on a team that, let's say the team went bankrupt and they folded, it doesn't mean that I can't play for another soccer team ever again, because I've developed the skills that are now transferable to any team in the world. And that's what we're trying to get at here is you guys are developing fundamental skills and understandings of other humans that it's like, even if Facebook that has a $600 billion market cap disappeared overnight, which would be phenomenal, it's all good. What's next, right? What's the next platform that pops up? Cool. We take the same stuff, we do it over there. And that's all it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you want to say something there, Amy? Or?
I thought it was a great point about the soccer team, because that just, brought up to my mind. I'm 48 years old, and I say,
I'm sure 38.
Thank you. I'll take that. I'll make my day. What I think about is all the things that have changed in my life, right? We used to have a phone that I had to put my finger in and dial. There were no answering machines. There were no call waiting. If someone wasn't home, they weren't home. I actually used to walk across the street and knock on the door instead of texting, right? I used to listen to records, to LPs, and then came 8 tracks.
What's that?
Right, exactly. And then cassettes, right? Now I even look at my kids, and they've seen some of this stuff, but we're cleaning and we're coming up with finding VHS tapes, and they're like, huh? So did we stop listening to music? Did we stop watching movies? No. Did the industry end? We just keep moving because humans want something, and they're going to figure it out. So I love that about the soccer team, because just look at all those things that have changed, and we keep marching on. And it comes back to that perfect client. And I think what happens in our go, go, go world with instant gratification is when we need to put our heads down and do the work and our brains hurt, we're not used to that. And so we want to be like, oh, stop the brain hurting. Welcome the brain hurting, because the deeper you go in that perfect client, you will build a solid foundation for whatever platform you need to use. And you won't have the Leaning Tower of Pisa that's going to topple over because you didn't do the work here. You'll have that perfect client. So take the time to dig in to their fears, their desires. What do they really want? What is their dream come true outcome? And then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
And it's the same with a lot of the clients we're surveying. Like they come out of naturopathic colleges or chiropractic schools with a skill set that initially they use in a clinic, and then they're like, I can do this stuff online. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, some of the manipulation and hands-on stuff is a bit different, but you get a skill set that as a practitioner, for instance, that's going to be with you forever. Forever. Like no one can ever take that away from you. Just like no one can ever take what you're learning here and deploying away from you. And I love how you brought up technology and how it changes and rotary phones are no longer a thing. And it's the same thing. Like the only thing that is for sure is change, right? So we know that the internet 10 years from now is going to be different than it is now. Like I would be a very irresponsible business owner if I said what we're doing now is going to work for the end till the end of time, no matter what, and we're not going to change at all. Like the most successful leaders are those who are stubborn on vision and flexible on strategy. And right now, this strategy is working really, really well. And then, again, we do have people that ask us, well, like webinars, are they still a thing? Are they going to go away? Are they going to still be as effective? Listen, webinars are webinars. Whether or not that becomes like a live cast in the future or some kind of, actually what would be cool would be a kind of a Star Wars-like holographic webinar in the future. So let's just say that's coming out. Let's say that in 10 years, that is the new webinar. Okay, cool. So if you're a hologram like of Yoda in front of Obi-Wan Kenobi, what are you saying? Because that's what matters. It doesn't matter if your webinar is an ugly PowerPoint or a beautiful PowerPoint or like a studio production. None of that matters. All that matters is what comes out of your mouth. And what comes out of your mouth should be a direct reflection of understanding the fundamentals of why people do what they do. And if you can speak to somebody and verbalize their problems, their desires in a way that's more powerful than they can, you're in, you're done. And you guys see this all the time. Like how many applications do you guys see where someone has put into one of the questions, I just felt like this resonated with me. I felt like Yuri was in my head. I just feel that this is the right thing for me to do. That's what you want your applications to come through as. So,
yeah, absolutely. And Yuri and both Amy, you hit the nail on the head too earlier. Like as we evolve, like went back, gosh, this was probably 2010, like already outdated, right? I was doing some sales training and coaching for small mom and pops insurance companies. And we were going in teaching them the fundamentals of, okay, if someone's buying car insurance, don't you think you should ask if they need renters or house insurance, right? Because they're going to be living somewhere if they own a car, unless unfortunately they're living in their car, right? So we're teaching them to like round out the account, the psychology behind why people buy and how you can get more out of that customer and serve them ultimately to the best level. But beyond that, we were explaining to them why we were taking everything online. Because, you know, this was 2010, 2011, and these people were still putting ads in the yellow pages. And we're like, most of the time, those yellow pages were just propped up, you know, holding their laptop up so they could have better ergonomics with their laptop. So the whole concept is you have to fish where the fish are, right? If the yellow page is over here in this pond and you're still putting money into that pond or putting your pole into a dried up pond, your fish aren't there. Your fish are here on social media. Like I had a lady the other day say, well, you know, I don't think people are going to watch my webinar. Why would I waste my time building a webinar? I'm like, how do you know this? Have you done it?
We have a million reasons why.
We have a million reasons why. And if your belief is more powerful than what's possible for you, guess what? You're going to be right where you are.
Yep.
So let me say that again. If your belief is more powerful than what's possible, you're going to be stuck. But everybody who's in this group or anybody who's even listening to this, we're not being stopped by false beliefs, right? We're making it happen and we're doing the impossible so that we can have the impact that we want with the clients that we desire to work with, the income that we want, and the freedom that we want. That's it at the end of the day. But we have to understand, like, our program is very marketing agnostic, as Yuri said, but that's what makes it fun. This is why we're in this business. This is why we're thrivers and not just survivors, right?
Well, yesterday we talked about a specific case where, going back to like fish where the fish are, there's 1 billion users on Facebook. So if you're thinking, well, I don't know if I can find my target market on Facebook, let's just use an example. So we actually did this yesterday with Phyllis. So you were speaking with a lady who was looking to get into helping women with fertility issues, who are looking at like IVF as an alternative. And so we just broke down the numbers. We said, okay, how many so we just looked at America, just in the States. How many Americans, 350 million maybe? So of those, let's just say half are women. And you actually brought up the stats after you did the research, and it was actually pretty close to this. So we said, okay, 175 million women, and let's say just like half of those are of childbearing age. So that ends up being, let's just call it 80 million. So 80 million women in the States are of childbearing age. Now, are all 80 million going to want your thing? Absolutely not. So let's just be super conservative, and let's just say 10% of those 80 million might.
It's not conservative. You're spot on. It's 10 out of 100.
Okay, so there we go. So we'll say 8 million women are likely in like dealing with some fertility issues. So 8 million women. Now, do you need 8 million clients? No. I mean, if you did, you'd be one of the most successful companies in the world. So let's be super conservative, and let's just say that 1% of 8 million, which is, 80,000? Is that right? 80,000 women could potentially be your clients. Now, are you going to roll 80,000 women? No. So let's be even more conservative. Let's say 1% of 80,000, which is 800 women. 800 women, let's say at $5,000 each, that's a $4 million a year business. So guys, like, it doesn't matter how niche your market is, they are on Facebook. And if they're not on Facebook, then they're probably nowhere, like, to be very honest. And maybe if they're CEOs, they might be hanging around LinkedIn a little bit more, but even still, like, there's 1 billion people on Facebook. There is no shortage of your perfect clients, no matter how narrow, they're there. So don't worry about that, guys. They're not.
Yeah, there's no shortage of fish. Just are you using the right bait, and are you offering what they want? Like, you're not going to stick, something like a gummy worm into the water and expect the fish to bite on it. They want the real deal, right? So.
Sure. And so many of you come to us and you say, I want to be authentic. I don't want to be salesy. Exactly. That's why you resonated with Healthpreneur, because we don't want to be that way either. We want to be upfront with you, transparent, we're authentic, and you want to do the same thing. Now, if your brain is going in a million directions and you're going, well, Yuri said they're doing YouTube and Instagram and blah, 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 or some of you came to us and still are finding us on YouTube and Instagram, remember, you're not allowed to do that until you've got your Facebook ad to webinar, to application, to phone call running like a well-oiled machine. When that's happening, then we can talk about next steps, but do not take those blinders off and start looking at other platforms. Yeah. Stick with Facebook, get it rocking and rolling. The people are there. Know that in your heart and in every cell of your being, and you'll be good to go.
I love how you said you're not allowed, because that's exactly it. Like, we had I think it happened twice earlier this year where someone was like, hey, can you have a look at my website? And I said, don't ever post that question ever again in this group. Like, website, like not your landing page, like your home website. That is never a discussion I ever want to have with any of you guys, because it doesn't matter. I shot a number of videos when I was in Europe, and one of them was, and you guys will probably see this as a Facebook ad, is why having a fancy website is useless for your business. We talked about this. We've seen companies $15,000 to design a beautiful website. That's great. You've probably all seen these Wix commercials too, right? Build your own website. First of all, you shouldn't be building your own website. It's a waste of time. But let's say you built an amazing website. Now what?
Right.
The field of dreams doesn't exist online, guys. No one's going to find your beautiful website. And if you think you need a beautiful website to enroll clients, you've been following the wrong advice. You've been drinking the wrong Kool-Aid. But I just recorded a podcast about the very topic you mentioned, with respect to, like, you're not allowed to do anything other than this pipeline. So the podcast, which will come out in a couple of weeks, is marketing your brand, quality versus quantity, which is more important. And basically I'm saying, in today's day and age, I believe quantity is more important. Now, stop. Before we go any further, you should not even continue listening to this unless you have a predictable sales process built in your business. Because what I'm about to suggest to you is going to be like, put yourself everywhere. But even if you didn't do any of that stuff, you could have a very successful business just through what we're deploying in the HBA program. And as I said in the podcast, like, what I'm discussing is really higher end stuff. It's like, once you have the clients come in and once you're making tens of thousands of dollars a month, and you want to start thinking about building a brand, not just like, how do I get a couple more clients, then we can look at that stuff. But the most important thing you have to understand is, from day one, you have to build your predictable pipeline, because if you have a money problem, you guys will like this. I just added this in a couple of days ago. If you have a money problem, you have an income problem. And if you have an income problem, you have an incoming problem, which means you don't have enough leads and clients coming in. And that's never going to be fixed by posting blogs once a week or posting on social media once or twice a day. It's not going to happen. So anyways, yeah, it's been a good conversation, I think. Hopefully it's got some people thinking differently and maybe giving some reassurance where there was a little bit of apprehension before. Guys, if you're in the group, obviously you're in the right place. Just keep doing what you're doing. You guys will rock this. And as I say, like with all of our clients, you have no clue what can happen as soon as you hit submit on your Facebook ads. Like, it's like playing the slot machine. Not that I play the slot machine, but it's like playing the slot machine, and everything just lines up for you. Like, that's how fast things can happen. Is it going to happen like that all the time? No. That's why we're here to help you optimize and tweak, get things working properly. So that's the first thing. If you're not one of our clients and you really want help building a predictable pipeline that is platform agnostic, so we obviously started on Facebook ads because that's what's working now and for the foreseeable future. But if it ever changes, it's the same thing, just somewhere else. So if you want our help with that, be sure to watch our 7-figure health business blueprint training. The website for that is healthpreneurgroup.com/training. If it resonates with you and you as well start thinking to yourself, oh my God, Yuri's in my head, then you'll probably want to book a call with us and speak to Jackie, Amy, one of our amazing coaches, and we can see if we're a good fit to serve you. So thank you so much for joining us once again. Amy, Jackie, thank you guys for bringing the goods, and we will speak with you guys next week.